This is FCTV, fan-controlled television. Programs created and produced for the fans, by the fans of fan-controlled sports and entertainment. As always, power to the fans. And now, it's time for the show!
Kenny, you're muted.
It's not always gonna run like a clockwork. Wow, we did it.
You know what? We'll see y'all next week. Goodbye.
Hey, hey everyone. Welcome to Fan Controlled Fandom Live. Alex, we might have to change your little image down on the lower left there.
I know. Look at me down there. I guess I'm the other way. Look at me down there. I'm all long-haired.
That's long-haired. That is the proper English. That I'm glad. Thank you for using the King's English to say you're long-haired.
Cheerio. I also, you know what? I'm gonna submit a different picture. I think because I've got a headshot that doesn't look like I'm actively having a hard poop.
Nope. This is what we're using.
Okay. No, I get it. It's good.
This is what we're using. Welcome to Fan Controlled Fandom. Hi.
Who are we? What is this? Hello. I'm Alex Enriquez.
I'm Kenny Stevenson. Are
and
we
this
live?
Is,
are we live?
I think we are. And this is a show that's all about news, reviews, and tips you can use about the cape space, science fiction, fantasy, any of your genre content. If it's on a screen and somebody's wearing a cape, you can pretty much bet we got our finger on the pulse of it, or we're going to tell you why you shouldn't watch it because it was made by fascists. Kenny?
Wow, there we go. Yeah, these guys about to go capes. I love it, Freddie Airmail. Yeah, this is the cape space, baby. This is where if you are watching something or reading something in which somebody is wearing a cape, we're going to talk about it. You wear a cape in space for some reason. You wear a cape while flying through the air. Again, also not very aerodynamic. You wear a cape when you're fighting a dragon. Also probably not very aerodynamic as well. Capes are very non-functional in this space, yet everybody seems to be wearing them.
One of the things you tend to hit is when people are riding dragons, they wear capes. And I think if you think about the Game of Thrones universe, those are some pretty scaly, thorny looking dudes. And how many times you bet a Targaryen just goes to like slide off and then their cape catches on a horn or like a piece of chitin and they're just kind of like, hey, they're like, get me down, cut me down.
Yeah, that's the stuff they don't cut out. Like, Matt Smith hanging from his dragon's teeth by his cape, just being like, oh gosh, remind me again why I have to wear this.
Right.
Freddie Airmail actually says these guys about to go cape sh word, which I love. That's a great pun.
That is Kenny's second favorite cuss word.
What's my first? Don't say it.
It's your first favorite one is crap.
It is my first favorite one. You know what my first favorite thing to do on this show is, though?
Oh, I know it.
Yep. Well, just to give you a tease, what our main topic is episode 2 of Loki, hence the name of the show, Low Key Loki Chat, which I'm here for it, baby. That was something I came up with last week and was just stuck. But the first thing we do before we talk about Loki is we talk about the quick pieces of nerd news. It's called Quick Hits, and we get to play the stinger live, and it's just, gosh, this is never gonna get old. By year 45 of this, when we're in our late 80s, still streaming this show via Twitch, which will be a small chip that's implanted into your brain, we're still going to be laughing a lot during this portion of it.
Wow, the whole thing just went scrambly, but I agree with everything you just said.
Yeah, I froze on my end too. The internet. But anyway, here we go. The quick hits. Here comes the stinger. Quick hits.
That bass live is just something else.
Banging. That is a banging bass. So the big news out of the in the Cape Space this week is that we're not going to be seeing any more actors in Cape Space content anytime soon because the AMPTP just walked away, or we basically booted them out. Whatever. Alex and I are both members of SAG-AFTRA. We are still striking. So as much as they thought things were going to be coming back, surprise, they're not. So we don't know when anytime soon this stuff is going to be coming back. I am more on the pessimistic side, and I'm thinking probably more like next year. But who knows?
SAG sending a clear message. Write all you want, nerds. Who's gonna do it? Puppets?
Write all you want, nerds. Something we amazingly have a lot of like news this week, and out of like the big outlets. Like normally I have to dive into the nerd stuff to find news, but this is from Variety. One thing that we are getting for sure, apparently, whether we want it or not, is Aquaman 2. And there was a big article this week, and this is coming out in like 2 months. This is, we're in October now. This is coming out in December. Aquaman 2, there was an article in Variety, and it just says, Aquaman 2 flooded with drama. Jason Momoa allegedly drunk on set. Amber Heard scenes cut. Elon Musk's letter to the WB and more. It's a very lengthy article, but I'll just try to hit some of the highlights. And let's see, this one is the one where I just was like, wow. On the same day in mid-September that Warner Brothers dropped the trailer for its $215 million. Let me say that again. $215 million Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Embarrassing documents from the Johnny Depp Amber Heard defamation trial resurfaced. So this happens. Depp's fans paid the court fees for the release of the documents from Heard's therapist. The raw notes scribbled on
cool guys.
I know, very cool. That's a way to violate patient client patient whatever doctor patient confidentiality. The raw notes scribbled on a legal pad were part of last year's high-profile trial. They describe a hostile Aquaman set. This is the first one, where an allegedly intoxicated Jason Momoa dressed like Johnny Depp and pushed to have Heard booted from the role of her aquatic superhero Mira. What in the world? You read this article more. I mean, those are like that. I read that and I just was like, what's happening? Can you hit some more of the highlights from this bad boy?
I mean, Jason Momoa showing up to set allegedly dressed as Johnny Depp, which laid out bare like that. I was kind of like, look back at the look back at the archives. I think the Johnny Depp boat hit Jason Momoa a long time ago.
I was gonna say there isn't like that was my takeaway too. I was like, how do you, Jason Momoa, who is also wearing 17 scarves to set, how do you dress up like Johnny Depp, who has to have at minimum 17 scarves on at all times? How does that work?
Wait, maybe it's more specific. Maybe he like showed up to set one day dressed as Jack Sparrow, and like the next day dressed as like the Mad Hatter. He's just really leaning into her.
Again, like Jack Sparrow and Mad Hatter are not too far off from Jason Momoa's daily wardrobe, because if you've seen the Aquaman movies, he's just wearing his clothes. He's not wearing, there's no, like beyond the Aquaman suit, he is just dressed as Jason Momoa.
By the way, I feel like at this point, Aquaman is exactly like a seafood meal. You're like, okay, it's going to be something different, but it very well, the things that are intrinsic to it could be the very things that make it disgusting. You know what I'm saying?
I definitely know exactly what you're saying.
We've all ordered fish, and we're now going, it's going to be something or it's going to be gross.
I love this. Okay. Ultimately, the studio never pulled the trigger on firing Heard, which is what Momoa wanted, because her former boyfriend, I didn't even know this was a thing. Her former boyfriend, Elon Musk. So Amber Heard has dated Johnny Depp and Elon Musk.
Well, get ready to load more ammunition in your hate cannon for Elon Musk. If you didn't know they dated, then you don't know that I just short of like posted revenge porn of her, because he alleged on Twitter that he was able to get her to cosplay as a certain video game character, and then posted a picture he took of it and just like, put it on X. It's like, I don't, slime balls.
Apparently he was able to keep her on the movie because he sent a scorched earth letter to Warner Brothers threatening to burn the house down if the actor wasn't brought back for a sequel. What?
Like, what's he gonna do? Like, oh, I'm gonna signal all your Teslas to explode. Like, what does he have to do with anything?
Who the hell knows? This drama is being rehashed at a time when DC Entertainment toppers James Gunn and Peter Safran are poised to close the book on the previous superheroes regime slate with the release of this movie. They could not push this movie out faster. As far as I wouldn't be shocked if this thing just like showed up in theaters tomorrow.
I'm actually checking. It's on Max right now. It's there. It's like you have to look through. You have to go into the DC Comics hub, but it's there.
It's there. Ruthless Cutie says, apparently Jason's people said that he wasn't dressing like anyone. That's just what he looks like. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like to say that Jason Momoa in his normal everyday clothes and then say that, oh, he's dressing up like Johnny Depp is like Wednesday, you know, that's like, oh, he's wearing a tank top with a vest, 14 scarves, 17 bracelets on each arm, several puka shell necklaces. I mean,
his fists are more turquoise ring than they are human flesh. And hey, since it was on the Aquaman 2 set, how about this? More like Johnny Depp, am I right?
Whoa, well done. I love that.
Thank you.
I love that.
But I'm actually gonna take off.
Yeah, I feel like that's good. Thanks for watching, everybody. Appreciate it. Yeah. Other news in tragic like sets of superhero movies. Daredevil. This is a TV show actually. Daredevil was set to make, he made his big official MCU appearance, Charlie Cox as Daredevil in She-Hulk, a show that you and I really enjoyed. And even his appearances in the show were fun. He was set to get his own show that was set to premiere, that was shooting. I believe they had just written it, right? They hadn't started shooting it. That's what this article says. They had just started.
They were shooting.
Okay, they might have. Well, they definitely aren't shooting now. And they definitely stopped I know they hadn't had it all written because they had to stop writing part of it, but they had some of it written. This is like an 18 episode season. They were bringing back Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin, but it was revealed in the Hollywood Reporter this week that they're basically hitting a full reset on the show. Like they had to pause production in mid-June because of the writer's strike. Fewer than half of the series' 18 episodes had been shot. But it was enough for Marvel executives, including Kevin Feige, to review the footage and come away with a clear-eyed assessment. The show isn't working. So they already let go of the head writers, like quietly, last month. And they're apparently just going to do a full-blown creative reboot of the whole show. And if you've not read this article, we'll just give you the like big headline that is just like, what?
Right.
Apparently, he was not going to even ever at any point be in his Daredevil costume until episode 4 of like 4 hours into the show. And they were positing it as like a legal drama, a la like a Law and Order. And he was going to have like a legal thing of the week that he was going to be working on, all while also kind of fighting crime. And I just think that's a no. That's a nope.
Right. Right. Yeah. I texted with Kenny about this news and I said, this is a character who arrived on screen, on the small screen anyway, with like hallway fights and big time brutality, and to switch him. No. He's gonna be engaged in tort. I'm cool. And actually this is a bigger reset too. The article said that Marvel Studios is pretty much overhauling completely their television operation and because they were making television shows in a pretty unprecedented way. If you don't know anything about how television is made, usually you will create a pilot and that pilot is produced and you see if the pilot is good enough. It used to be if the pilot had good enough, was received well enough, you'd go on and greenlight the show. And I guess they still do that in some quarters, but at Marvel, they were just approving ideas, having movie executives oversee them and fixing whatever was wrong in post. And now Marvel Studios is going to hire actual showrunners with TV experience, executives with TV experience. They're going to do pilots. They're going to go back to a more traditional television approach, I guess.
TV, like they're, I saw somebody, God, I hate that this word is about to come out of my mouth. I saw someone on a Reddit say that, a lot of people lament the show Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and whatever. I didn't watch any of it actually, but that was a literal television show and it was treated as a television show. And I think, one of the things with a lot of this Marvel television content, are the games streamed on Twitch? They will be when there's games. Actually, we have an announcement about the new app, which I want to tease. Well, after we finish the quick hits, these are being shot as like synonymous as like this is all part of Phase 4 or Phase 5, which is fine, but a lot of these are trying to tell cinematic stories on TV, and there's certain things that you have to like work with the medium you have, which I think is part of the reason why Loki is working, but we'll get to that.
Right.
Bebop boop. But if you were hoping to get a
I love when you scat, Kenny. I love when you scat.
Bebop bop bop ba-dee-da-da boop 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 Loki. Oh, fantastic.
This is the best show we've ever done.
This is, I feel like, we got one out. We got the first one out of the way, and the second one, we are clocking like we are, like we've been at it for years.
We're clocking like clockwork, baby.
Clocking like clockwork as my computer freezes again. My internet is shoddy at best. I got a couple of things I want to hit, and we're trying to be leaner and meaner on the Twitch. We don't want to submit people to hour and 45-minute Twitch streams. I didn't put this in the show notes because they just announced this. Did you see this? They last October, the MCU Marvel Studios released their first ever special presentation of Werewolf by Night, which another thing that you and I both very much enjoyed. I thought the Werewolf by Night was excellent. I was actually going to watch it again just because it's Halloween, it's spooky season, which I have to sidebar. Is this a tough time for you? I know you don't like the scary stuff.
I have a group that I see once a week to try and just sort of get through. But yeah, and thank you for your consideration.
That's all. I'm always here from you. I'm always here for you. I know spooky season. You don't want to go near the scary stuff. And I knew Werewolf by Night for you was hard for you to watch, but
I actually had to watch it on a picnic bench in broad daylight in a park. That's how I couldn't.
Well, they just announced they're going to release a cut October 20th in color. It was famously. It wasn't infamously because it was. It's a thing that was shot in black and white. It looks like black and white. That's one of the real kind of strengths of it is the contrast. But what they've done to it, they didn't just like take the raw color footage and release that. They've kind of made it look like it's been colorized as if it was like a black and white film that's now been added color to it. So it looks really freaking cool. And I'm excited to check this out. I love just take something that was already good and make it gooder. Yeah.
I think I can't wait to see the man thing because the behind the scenes of that puppet, that the color on it is wild, and so I can't wait to see what it looks like in whatever the treatment they're doing.
I completely forgot that Man Thing is in Werewolf by Night.
I know, right?
That was such a surprise. Like for those of you who don't know, Man Thing, it was basically Marvel's answer to Swamp Thing, but like super weird and had a pretty long run. In a lot of it had its own comic and had its own run in the 90s when I was like collecting, was my biggest time collecting comics, and God, just a weird character, just a
very strange,
very weird. And then to have him show up in Werewolf by Night was just, it was great. I'm really excited to see this. I'm trying to get my head situated. I'm really excited to see this color version.
Yeah,
where do I talk?
I like Swamp Thing and Man Thing both answering the eternal question: what if a booger was mysterious?
Yeah. What if the real gross stuff on the top of water that forms after a bunch of algae? What if that walked?
What if mildew could have sex with you?
That's the real weird stuff that we're talking about, because both Swamp Thing and Man Thing have like get it on in the comments.
Oh yeah, famously they
and
get
it's
very
like-
swampy.
And it's like, what? Okay, moving on. I don't want to dwell too much on swamp sex.
No.
Hey-o. Dwell. Director Matt Shankman, he, of course, was the showrunner, talking about showrunners on Marvel shows. He was the showrunner on WandaVision, a show that for like 80 to 90% of it was pretty great. The finale got into like the typical Marvel, finale guga with just like flying cartoon people fighting each other. A movie that has not started shooting, and I don't believe they've even finished the script, but maybe he had the script, but they haven't even announced a cast, is Fantastic Four. That is one of the big properties that Marvel has gotten from in the Fox merger, and they have not made any sort of casting announcements. The internet has cast this movie several times over, but nothing official. But Matt Shankman, in an interview, teased the project while speaking with Collider. He says, it's so different in so many ways. I wish I could be specific. How is this news then? I wish I could say more, but we are doing things very differently from a story standpoint, from an approach to the filmmaking standpoint that really fits the material. I wish I could say more. I would love to, but I can't. Okay, I don't know why I wrote this down, because this is like not news.
Cool. Yeah, guy says stuff. That's this item.
Guy says stuff about thing that he's working on.
Guy says stuff about job.
Yeah, because he can announce casting, and he can start writing it again, but he can't say that he can't cast this thing because actors can't work on it. So
here's another news item I just saw come across the wire here. There's a rumor out that I want to play Batman.
it's hitting the trades. Alex Enriquez announces push for Batman role in James Gunn's new Batman movie.
And you want to see that push? Just look at my picture down below. I'm having one right there.
That is Bruce Wayne if I've ever seen it right there.
There he is.
I would put that under the cowl right now. Would you want to wear the like Keaton Bale where you have the full cowl over your chin? Or would you want to have the Robert Pattinson, which looks a lot more comfortable, where it just goes up to here? Whoa. And then you go more freedom of chin movement.
I go full Batfleck clearing the building costume, because that's the one. Come on, the little stub ears. He looks all cut up like that. That's the one.
That is the one. You're the one. Yeah, the Adam West version, fantastic.
It'd be more fitting my physique, that one. Anyway, let's quick hit.
We're almost done with the quick hits. A movie that we are fully lament happening. But whether I like it or not, it's happening. A sequel to the Joker movie, a movie that we did not like at all, but they're making another one, and it's a musical, and it's also co-starring Lady Gaga as what's her face? Harley Quinn.
As Harley Quinn. Stephanie Montebello or whatever her name is. She's
Stephanie Germanotta. And she apparently, asked to be called Lee on set, leading to a disconnect during filming. I don't know why she wanted to being calling Lee, but here's the story. Strangely, I felt like I never even met her. This is somebody named Cher who worked on the set. I'm trying to get what Cher's job was. Lawrence Cher, who was the cinematographer for the sequel. I didn't know Stefani at all. Strangely, I felt like I never even met her, even during the makeup hair test, because again, maybe it was my philosophy of not trying to get in their space. And then I remember for a week being like, God, I feel like we're disconnecting, not even connecting. We are like opposites. And I would say to my crew, Jesus, I can't like crack it. She either hates me or we hate each other. There's something weird going on here. I barely said anything except I would say, Stephanie, this is where your second team was, minor little things. And then the AD at one point said, oh, Steph would like if you just called her Lee on set. And I was like, oh, 100%. I literally said the next thing I said was something like Lee. And it was like everything changed. And from that point on, our whole connection changed. I was like, all right, cool. Wow. Asking people to call her Lee, short for Harley, is one of Gaga's ways of remaining in character. We got there. I have to say, I'm really like, yeah, woof.
I really used to like her. I thought she was beyond and above this sort of BS. But like, what What is as John Gielgud said to Dustin Hoffman when Dustin Hoffman was trying to crack himself out to play somebody who'd been tortured for 72 hours in Marathon Man. It's called acting.
Yeah, it's called acting. All right, did you see the House of Gucci?
I slept through a lot of it.
Yeah, terrible. It's just a wildly terrible movie. And when, like, if you watch her in A Star Is Born, and you're like, I get it, like a literal Star Is Born. She's great in that movie. She's she's like small, subtle. House of Gucci. She supposedly spent 6 months talking in her Italian accent. And she is surrounded by yes people because her accent is terrible. Like, just it is not. She's basically talking like it is in an old movie. And I'm
her dialect coach was that pizza chef from the Chuck E. Cheese band.
Basically, I used to work at Chuck E. Cheese. That's right. I know. So to hear that she insisted on staying in character and wanted to be called Lee and didn't want to be referred to as Stephanie is just like. Just let it go. Like, you're making a dancing musical movie about an incel goofball, and Joaquin Phoenix is already a lot. Like, what a set. Like, how is that? Like, I couldn't even imagine like being a functioning person on that set.
What if this is just a response to is like, well, Joaquin Phoenix is a lunatic and the director is a walking 4chan board.
Oh, so I mean, yes, thank you.
Maybe she's like, if I want to keep my sanity and my boundaries, I have to play weirder and less approachable than all of them so that I can just kind of have my bubble. And I'm going to attribute this behavior to that and say, good on you, Lady G. We all have to deal with our work environments and whatever life jacket you got to reach for, you do it. Keep kicking.
You go, Lady G. I love that you called her Lady G. Amazing.
Lady G. That's what
Lady Gaga.
Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga.
Lady Gaga. That way to go out on the quick hits with this Lady Gaga. Love it. Quick hits is all done. We are on the fan-controlled sports and entertainment network, and we always do one piece of sports news during this. I'm going to take my time first, if you don't mind, Alex, because
please,
I want to push the fan-controlled sports and entertainment. They relaunched their app this week. If you already had the FCF app on your phone, go open it. It'll tell you to update it, and it'll update it. And there's all new polls. It's flashy. There's potentially new sports that are going to be in there. And then I also want to announce on Monday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Pacific Time, 6 a.m. Hawaii time for all of our mahalo over there.
Everybody in Hilo.
5 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. Big announcement here on the FCSE Twitch page. I don't know what it is, but tune in here to find out. Alex,
just to give you a little clue, it could have something to do with me being a starting quarterback on one of the teams. Don't rule it out. Don't rule it out.
That I would be scared for you.
No. I'm good. I'm good. I got a shotgun of an arm. I ran the 40 in about 5 minutes. So
I was gonna say.
I think I'm good.
Like you went 10 yards and was like, I need to take a break.
I got halfway through the 40 and I'm like, does the quarterback run this much? Like, are you simulating a real thing is what I'm saying? Am I being judged I was
under the impression that I just get to stand here and throw. Is there saying I have to actually run around?
So what you're positing here is that the line has completely disappeared as if it didn't exist. And I'm set to position myself on the, what kind of organization you running here, fellas? That's me at the combine. Anyway. Hi.
I love that. Alex, why don't you take us out to the racetrack for your sports news?
I will. Here we go. I want to just on behalf of the big broadcast, fan-controlled fandom, I want to wish Max Verstappen congratulations for his 3rd consecutive driver's title. Interestingly, he's the 6th person to win it on a Saturday rather than the usual Sunday on which most Grand Prix take place. It remains to be seen who's going to top the rest of the pack. McLaren is ascendant and seems ready to roll all the way to 2nd place. But at this point, there are some very wily veterans on the track, and I wouldn't bet against somebody like two-time world champion Fernando Alonso pulling some late season shenanigans to single-handedly pull his Aston Martin team up to the top of the midfield. Kenny, back to you.
I love it. I mean, you could be giving like the nuclear launch codes, and I just would have no idea what you were saying.
You know, every time you throw it to me for the sports news, I mentally roll my eyes back in my head and go Neo mode. I'm just seeing code, baby.
I love it. I love the world. The world is just the Matrix.
Yeah.
Oh my God. What a world with it. We are all just batteries for machines. Alex, you're a machine in terms of your work ethic as you are pounding the pavement, trying to get us all the corporate sponsorship, all the underwriting for the show. Who is our sponsor for the show this week? Again, our second live on Twitch stream. Tell it up.
Well,
toe it up. That's not a phrase, but go ahead.
So I'm gonna I'm gonna toe it up to flow it up. You know what I'm saying? It's this week's corporate underwriter is master of romanticism and erotica, Rig Doubleday.
Oh no.
He's re-releasing all of his works, and so transport yourself to worlds beyond your wildest fantasies with titles like Gossamer Desire, Love's Bounteous Sea, Getting All Musky with It, and a classic, Totally Doing It. So that's the collected works of Rig Doubleday, he's the master of erotica. He's our corporate underwriter this week.
Rig Doubleday.
Rig Doubleday. Let's go with a W. W-R-I-G. Rig.
Rig. I gotta tell you, when it comes to my romantic novels, I don't like any subtlety. So that's why Totally Doing It seems like my kind of.
Totally Doing It is and it's they're the perfect length for a beach read, is what he says.
Yeah, at any given point on the beach, there's at least 7 people reading a romance novel.
And you can bet that 2 of those are by Rig Doubleday. Back to you, Kenny.
Oh my God, what fantastic. That's what a wonderful way to segue into episode 2.
Yeah.
Loki season 2 episode 2. I'm going to do the breakdown thanks to the good people at wikipedia.org, which
all you perverts over there at Wikipedia, thanks for explaining to me how to do a self-breast examination.
It'll never get better than what the Wikipedia and what the internet does to actor Stellan Skarsgård based on an episode of How Did This Get Made? If you don't know, on How Did This Get Made, they often say people's names wrong. And they called Stellan Skarsgård Stellar Skateboard. And more often than not, if you go to his Wikipedia page, his name is changed to Stellar Skateboard.
I got to listen to that show. I love that. That's
great.
It's
my favorite show. Episode 2 of Loki, titled Breaking Brad, written by Dan DeLue, directed by Eric Martin. Loki, Mobius, and B-15 find and capture Hunter X5 in London in 1977 on the Sacred Timeline, living as a movie actor named Brad Wolfe. They interrogate Wolfe, who admits abandoning Dox's mission and reveals Sylvie's location in Oklahoma. They travel there to find her working for McDonald's. Loki tells Sylvie, I can't believe that was a full sentence in there. They travel there and find her working for McDonald's. Period. Loki tells Sylvie about meeting her in the TVA's future and asks for her help, but Sylvie wants nothing to do with the TVA. Wolf proclaims that they are all in mortal danger, so Sylvie enchants him, revealing Doc's actual plan to simultaneously bomb and destroy all the branching timelines. Loki, Mobius, and Sylvie stop Dox's ongoing operation, but most of their timeline branches were destroyed by then. Dox is captured and some of her allies escape. Casey is able to track Ravonna Renslayer's tempad on one of the remaining branches. Meanwhile, as OB tries to repair the loom so it can safely accommodate the branching timelines, he finds that he cannot access the loom without the help from the missing Miss Minutes. Say that 3 times fast. Or the Auror of He Who Remains. Sylvie returns to McDonald's, blaming the TVA for everything and not wanting to be involved in the situation any further, while it is shown that she has the temp pad of He Who Remains. Alex, what'd you think of the episode?
I'm so glad to be back in Loki. I think this and WandaVision showed such promise for the MCU Disney Plus TV streaming offering, which I think kind of went sideways later on. I think that what this show does a really good job of doing is completely separating you from the MCU, giving you implications that can sort of get into the main universe, but it is its own thing that feels just as important as those mainline interwoven MCU titles. I think they do that through really smart storytelling, really good rule keeping, and really insanely good design. I mean, we're going to talk about this later, but the look and feel not just of what you're seeing on the screen, the sets, the props, the costumes, all of that, but how it's shot. It just looks more high gloss cinematic than any single frame of Secret Invasion.
Oh my God. Like it's like comparing like a fine champagne to like $2 Chuck, like comparatively speaking. And it's funny, like, yes, I'm very happy to be back in with this show. It is very cinematic in its look, but it is so contained. And the real strength of this show is just these like intimate conversations. And there's so much going on. It's so visually interesting. There are like all the normal stakes that you have in a Marvel property, which is like the end of the world or the end of time as we know it. But at the same time, it can have like a scene, which I separately wrote down, but like it can have a scene of two people eating pie and it is crackling. It is like, that's really good stuff. I for this particular episode, I loved the first episode. I thought the first episode was almost like no notes. If I had a note for this episode, it did feel like we had maybe one too many conversations. I felt like when we got to Oklahoma and Sylvie at the McDonald's, which is all, lovely stuff, I think maybe it was the conversation out front in the parking lot where I was like, okay, we need to have, because we have a ticking clock, like there was a sense of urgency in like that kind of fourth or fifth conversation that I think was kind of missing because it was just people sitting around talking. I mean, it was still like, that's kind of like at this point, kind of like a nitpick, but the show does something that if you look at the other really good Marvel property we got this year, which is Guardians of the Galaxy, is that it's not worried about like it can have a ton of stuff going on, but it's not worried about like setting up this or that, or is that guy in the background Reed Richards, or it's just telling this particular story and it's leaning into character. Like, I think that is what really drives. And if you look at the stuff that's been a little bit, we've liked most of the stuff, but yeah, even something like Secret Invasion, there was some character stuff, but not as like heavy as this. There's like a literal conversation talking about this whole episode is about whether he's a hero or a villain or not. And it is very like, it's a good point. This isn't the Loki who sacrificed himself in front of Thanos. Like, this is the Loki who just prior to Loki season 1 tried to destroy all of New York.
Yeah, we're like a couple of months from him opening a dimensional gateway for the Chitauri. I think too, there is something I like about the conversations in that it helped me really. It revealed character in a way that propelled plot, that like really propelled narrative. You go from that crackling interrogation scene, to borrow your word, to like
crackling,
which reveals something about Morbius. You get a different dimension of him. You get a different facet of his personality that you haven't seen before. This revealed from that moment. It propels you into that slow down conversation, which is part of how they come up with the plan that they execute in the next part, which is another kind of high tension scene. And so I thought the pacing was really good. I do think that, I was trying to set myself outside of my knowledge of these properties broadly and just listen to your Wikipedia breakdown. And like, what in the hell? Like, how do you grab onto any of this? I think that part of the trouble they might have sometimes the stakes they're setting up are we have to put the bling blong in the boot bop. And to get people to latch onto that, you probably have to go, oh, you know what? We need one ADR line in this scene where he's turned his back to the camera so that we cement the fact that Eliath is a smoke monster or whatever. That part of the struggle is now like, how do you make people buy into the Guga so the character stuff works, because they have to have stakes.
Absolutely. And it's like, even adding in the people that they've added in, we're kind of jumping all over the what we're going to be talking about, but it's fine.
It's so unlike us, Kenny. I can't believe it.
Usually like we like almost follow the show notes in order.
Ship shape and Bristol fashion, tight as a drum.
Yeah, I think even the way this show is adding characters like Kihei Kwan, who is just, what a wonderful addition. Like, I mean, he's such a fantastic actor. Obviously, he just won an Oscar, but I just like this idea of that there is this kind of tinkerer, and we're now getting this person who is like, who literally wrote all the rules. He wrote the manual for the TVA. So even if like, it's still only like, as we're expanding out, it's still like a finite amount of people, you know, like we've given Casey a bigger role, my man, Eugene Cordero, who I should hit up and see if we can get him on the show.
Dude,
I'm going
get Beefcake Eugene Cordero on this show and like, hey, since you're in the TVA,
I know Eugene, we can get him talk about Lower Decks too. Great show, Star Trek.
Let's get him in a role where he can show off those biceps of his. Like, let's get him let's get him a, not Wonder Man, I know that's already going, but you know what I'm saying? Like, anyway, put the bug in his ear.
Yeah, just take his shirt off. They have him take his shirt off. But even if like we've expanded his character, but we're still like not like going too far out, you know, we're keeping it pretty tight to the vest, so that when you have a scene like the pie eating scene, which I thought was just fantastic, like it's literally just Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston in a room talking about, you know, basically Loki's existential question right now, which is like, is he a hero or is he a villain, while they're eating pie. So my question to you is, would you eat that pie? Was that pie a little too green for you? Or would you eat it?
Not only would I eat it, I'd go back for seconds. Kenny, the kinds of things I've put into my body would shock you. Would absolutely, it would make you question our friendship, my values as a human, my very nature as a being, and not some kind of feral animal. But yeah, that pie was signaling to me with its bright color the perfect balance between tart and sweet.
Yeah, I'm gluten-free, so I wouldn't eat the crust, but good Lord, that whatever they use to make that, I don't know what you call it, a mold or whatever, that portion, the custard portion of the pie. Oh my gosh, I want to dive in a whole bowl of it. And I want to even call out that room, I don't know if you noticed, but it was just pies. That whole room, all the stuff that was behind them, that was just pie. So I feel like I want to add a pie room. Like I want to have that in my house now at all times. I'd love to just have pie accessible 24/7.
Now here's the thing, Kenny. If that pie room in your abode is full of one pie, what pie is it full of?
Well, I didn't think it was just a key lime in there. I think they had pie options. Ruthless Cutie says, was it pie shaped? I don't think we had a full room layout. It looked more circular than pie shaped, but you know, you can kind of
what shape is most pies? What shape is most pies, Kenny?
Oh, I was thinking more of a piece of pie, but yes, most pies are circular. So yes, I would say it was pie shaped. What would be my pie in there? It's hard. I do like a cream pie. I do like but I mean, you can't really go wrong with apple.
Kenny,
I saw that.
Kenny, Kenny, keep it together, would you? Jeez.
Apple pie with a little scoop of ice cream on top. What about you?
Apple pie with a thin slice of Tillamook sharp cheddar on top.
Oh, you go that way, huh?
Bet your ass I do, bud.
I would feel like they'd have that at the TVA. I feel like that'd be an option.
I think, and you know, I'm going to go back and quote Eric Voss, EA Voss from New Rockstars. I think in his breakdown of this episode, there's a poster on the wall that says it's only key lime pie and that you're only supposed to have one a week or something like that, and it's a certain amount of tokens, and you're like, it's introduced, the pie has introduced a whole bunch of lore.
Oh my God. So it is just a key lime pie. Oh my God. One a week? That would be tough for me. If you're telling me that there's just key lime pie accessible and like a multi-tiered delivery system, and I could have it at any given point. Granted, again, I'm gluten intolerant. I can just scoop out that key lime custard and just, one a week would be difficult for me. It'd be very hard.
It's I think I go to it. I'm thinking of I'm going to change my answer to the pie room, if I may, if that's okay with everybody.
I'll allow it.
Thank you. I think that each of those little containers would be full of a Hostess fruit pie. I think it'd still be apple, no cheese, but a Hostess fruit pie, maybe lemon. Those are some of my favorite grab and go snack desserts of all time.
Whoa,
yeah.
that's a choice there. Because you know what, I used to love a Hostess with the vanilla pie with the pudding inside.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh boy.
Well, look, Kenny, I'm not here to have conversations. I'm here to make statements.
You know what? Thank you very much for making those statements. And I feel like we'll continue this conversation further on our other Twitch show, Pie Talk, with Kenny and Alex.
It's
where we cover a different piece of pie every week. Fan controlled piedom.
Fan control. The fans decide what pie we eat.
Fan controlled pies.
It's FCP, so much. Baby. It's so much better watched than this is. We have hundreds.
455,000 people watch us eat a piece of pie, and we literally don't say a word. It is just strictly ASMR.
Yeah.
And so I'm assuming most of the people watching are real gugas and weirdos.
But I think most of our viewers are doing they're knowing themselves biblically to our content. But I'm not here to yuck anybody's yum. If you like it, I love it.
Fantastic. I want to talk about more in this scene. We have the work that Owen Wilson is doing in this show. I mean, it's still kind of like truly insane that we have Owen Wilson in the MCU, and the fact that he's like, you bring in some of these big actors and you have them playing like, we're going to see Harrison Ford as Thunderbolt Ross, and he's going to be this real stuffy politician guy. Or we get, Olivia Colman was great in Secret Invasion. But the fact that like Owen Wilson is just basically playing Owen Wilson. And not only is he playing Owen Wilson, but they're basically, I don't know if they're letting him go or if they're writing him as Owen Wilson, but it's just wonderful.
Yeah, I gotta say that I'm given to hyperbole on the big broadcast. I'm given to exuberance, but the knock joke in the interrogation scene that culminates with Brad who, that's showbiz, babe, is one of my favorite moments in the MCU ever. Owen Wilson, this role feels like it was written for him, and then they're letting him go. I think there was a moment there with him and who's the guy? B5, X5. There was a conversation. The conversation between the two of them in the McDonald's felt completely improvised.
Oh,
that guy playing Brad Wolf is on a different level too, and he got to show it off this episode. Like really, really solid acting.
And I think this plays into what we're kind of talking about and why this show works more than some of the like other properties, is that it's even though it has all the stakes, like all the trappings of it, all these other shows are there. The world is in danger. Everything is in danger. But it would rather than spend like 10 minutes of Guga and stuff, this show could just be about what Ki-Hye Kwan's character is doing, which is like trying to get the threads of time together. We could have spent a ton more time on this show. We really only got like 5, maybe 10 minutes with him total. But this show would rather have fun moments or interactions or conversations. You're right. That cutaway to the inside the just even when they walk in, he's like, I'm going to get an apple pie. Like, like that kind of stuff. And then you cut to him eating an apple pie. It's just fantastic, because of course you walk into a McDonald's in the 80s, I'm diving in. Absolutely. Like, who the hell knows what is in this food? I could just be eating just like raw dirt that's been, mixed in a lab and formed into some sort of food substance.
It's universally known that this period of McDonald's is the best period of McDonald's. You're talking McDLT. You're talking probably in some locations beef fat French fries. I mean, the McNuggets have probably never been better than when they were trying to
because when you
launch
get
them.
and you get all three sauces, you get the honey barbecue, the honey mustard, the barbecue, and the sweet and sour. Good Lord.
Anyway,
and then when the
starving.
McRib came, it was like genuinely like a special event. Now it just seems like it's always there. Again,
it's like Mercury's always retrograde. Anyway,
yeah, right. If you're gluten intolerant, McDonald's is the worst place to eat. Anyway, no, it's so lovely to have him, and just to know that we're kind of like I don't want to say like sometimes we have big name people in these and we don't use them, but we do. Like sometimes there are big name people in these things and they're just kind of there, or they're just filling a role, but this
Christian
is like
Bale as Gore the God Killer.
Great. That's a good example. He was good, but you could have let the man go absolutely bonkers. He's Christian Bale.
Yeah, it also could have been anybody. Like you could have put any.
That's true.
The role wasn't given to anything for anybody to like unleash their specialness. I mean, even what's her name who played the villain in Thor 3? Kate Blanchett.
Kate Blanchett.
Yeah, like
she was having fun though. I'll give her that. But like
she went for it.
Yeah, this specifically is like, we have Owen Wilson in this role, and so we are going to use that. We are not going to make Owen Wilson play like a character. We are just going to make the character fit around him. And I feel like that's what this show is kind of doing overall with Tom Hiddleston too.
I think that a lot of this comes down to, and I think it'll survive this regime change at Marvel TV. Michael Waldron, the creator, I think the dude gets story, gets writing, gets how to do these things. He gets how to maintain complicated narrative by centering it on something. And I think I don't know how involved he is anymore, because I think he's been sidelined a little bit, but his the genetics that he has put into this show. And I'm going to kind of take it a little bit further to posit who this Ouroboros is, that he might be our Yoda sort of character, in the sense that like when we first met Yoda, he was this little like, oh, hey, what a funny little guy. And then like, oh no, he's the hidden wise old hermit. And I think that's, kind of structurally in the monomyth, which Michael Waldron's former boss, Dan Harmon, is a devotee of. There is this meeting with the hermit. And the hermit gives you the weapon that you use to slay the dragon. And so I think there might be something. Yeah. I think there might be something here for that. But I think Michael Waldron is to be credited with how to balance all of the competing aspects of this show. The Guga, the fact that it needs to be good, the performances, the rules, all that stuff, tone, everything in perfect balance, because it started on such a good footing.
Yeah, you nailed it. Like this is a show that has just an absolute ton of Guga. Like on the page, Kihei Kwan is saying stuff that's like, it would be hard for me. I can't imagine he's just like on take one, like nails it. It's probably going to take a couple of times through. But I think again, there's something about this particular show. We keep holding on to this idea of the fact that it's so specific and it's so unlike. And I think, we talked about the directorial choices. There were so many interesting directorial choices. The camera was way up on the ceiling at the start of that interrogation scene with Mobius, Loki, what's her name? C5, C8.
I can't remember anybody's alphanumerics.
Yeah, it's Hunter X5. No, B15. Sorry, B15. We start up at the ceiling and we're looking down, and then another point, like X5 is laying on the ground and he's behind this grid and we're shot overhead, and like that's interesting. It's like every shot is interesting, and the sets are just like the damn coolest things I've ever seen. Like even like Kihei Kwan's set, like I don't want to diss the volume, but like there's something to say for the fact that like that's like a real set. And all that stuff is there, and it looks lived in. It looks specific. Like you could build all that in the volume, but there's something to having it be this like actual space that he can walk around, and we see people working at desks and all that stuff. It's just so interesting, and it makes it like no matter what is happening story-wise, it's you're drawn in just because it is so specific and real and like tactile. Like it feels like you could reach out and grab stuff there.
100%. I think that's, you know, you can go back to one of the things that worked about the Star Wars sequels versus the prequels is how much more they went to what was real, what was practical, and what was there. I think when you're dealing with so much fakery, so much stuff that the general public now doesn't scratch their heads and wonder how they do that. There's no, oh, it's a computer or something. It is novel to have these very intensely, you know, curated spaces. You know, this series is launched 1 week after the finale of Ahsoka, which is heavily volume dependent, heavily virtual production dependent. What's that?
Big time comment from Lil Nick 23K says, "This shit sucks." And he's laughing about it too. Hey man, proud to give you all the stuff you need.
Oh man, I love this guy, Lil Nick 23. He's the best.
Yeah,
he's always coming in saying like the cool thing, and then he laughs a bunch. This guy gets it.
Hottest takes, and then laugh. Yeah, baby. I was gonna say something. You mentioned the prequels. One of my all-time favorite, like, kind of images from the prequels is the Geonosis battle, like the behind the scenes of the end of Attack of the Clones. And it's all these people sitting on a giant like blue stage, and it's like, I think it's a GIF somewhere, you can find it. And it's just a bunch of people just like waving sticks around at like nothing. And it's just, and then it like cuts to Natalie Portman who's just going like this.
Yep.
And it's just, and like, that's it. Like that was literally the shooting of the movie. And that's like, wow. Like, you know, the fact that we can kind of get away from that with this show, you know, is so, I think there's something to that. So I feel like wherever we're going, we're at least going to be grounded in the world, which I think is something, if we keep comparing this to the last show, it's Secret Invasion. I think that was like, looking back, like doing like a debrief of that show, the world itself was a little bit confusing. What is a chain? Link, you better get out of here, bro.
This is a really no. I think he's gonna recover. He's gonna save it. He's gonna say something.
I don't want him to answer that question that's in there. In fact, let's not even give it any air. So let's cut to so somebody who was referenced several times in this show is He Who Remains, who we know from seeing Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania is actually Kang, and they keep kind of like subtly teasing him. Sylvie had that little like coin in her hand that had the little lines on it. I don't know what that means.
That's the temp pad. That's the temp pad. That's his temp pad.
His temp pad. Oh, that's okay. Got it. Like, and then we know from the post-credit scenes in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania that, because they just literally, the post-credit scene is a scene of this show of Mobius and Loki back in like the 1800s, and Mr. Time. What's his Dr. Time?
Timely?
Dr. Timely, yeah.
Victor Timely, something like that.
Victor Timely. He's a Kang variant. So, and Kang is obviously going to show up during this show, like, just period, end of story. I'm starting to feel like he might show up sooner. It might not be like an episode 6 kind of thing like last season. He might be in like the next episode. Maybe
they find him and he helps them beat Dox, because Dox seems like she sucks.
She certainly does suck.
She sucks. Like, she's just like, I'm just gonna hey, everybody chill. I'm gonna kill like 19 trillion people. Like, all right, go get at it, queen.
Yeah, that was the thing, is like, you know, B5 was like, she's killing millions. I was like, she's killing a lot more than millions. She's killing billions of people. Like, that's like, it's a real quick fix in the ADR booth just to make billions, like real quick. Yeah, and I love how they like, why are you doing all of your universe destroying in like a warehouse outside of the docks? Like, there was an opportunity for Sam's boat to be there.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Yeah, come on. Toot toot. The day
Toot
one
toot.
boat stand
Day
kings.
one boat stand
We know when
kings.
there's an opportunity that's been missed.
Yeah, hold on. Let me right here. You ready? Hold on.
Yeah. Welcome to the
Yeah.
future.
I mean, we're kind of spoiling our loser, big loser of the episode. But I mean, it was so funny to me. Like, I mean, part of me is like, fine. I like how this show's kind of low rent, but like, they cut to this like little warehouse where she's destroying worlds. Like, we can't, I mean, it's fine. Whatever. It was fine. Yeah. She did it.
It's a special magic warehouse.
We were in a McDonald's too, so it's all good. One more thing I want to hit on is like Sylvie's thing. Like, I love it. I love that she's working at 80s McDonald's. I get that she doesn't want to go to the TVA. I get all that stuff. Is it like, what do we think? Like, why would she, like, I would be interested to think what you think as to why like this McDonald's is specifically where she wants to be. Like, what is it about this life that is so appealing to her?
I mean, on its face, unless there's some big twist coming up that's like, oh no, it turns out that very moment in time was going to be something big that she knew was going to happen. I mean, I think now that she's spent like her whole life on the run from these people that are trying to like prune her, now that that's not happening, she's going to have as normal a life as possible. Get a job. And by the way, a job that in the 80s at McDonald's could probably sustain you pretty good.
Oh my God. Especially in Oklahoma, I'm sure. So a 7-bedroom house next to a lake.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that might be just it. Like, oh, I can just have like a normal, low key life. What if I threw my microphone down? That would suck.
That's the show. Broxton, Oklahoma. I'm told, I don't know this, but I'd heard, I think somewhere that it is like a location in the comics that it does come up. Something does happen there.
When in the comics, when Asgard comes to Earth, that's where Thor puts it. I think later on, I think it's laid waste by one of the new warriors. I think it might be like the destruction of Broxton, Oklahoma might be the act that initiates the superhero registration push, causing the Civil War in the comics. And because it's empty, that's where Asgard can kind of land. But don't quote me on that. That's been a long time since I read them comic books.
Heyo. Yeah, I think it's like, to her, it's like her life, especially like, I mean, Loki says, like when they're looking for her in the UK in London, he's like, she would be somewhere where there's chaos, and he specifically says that, like, that's the word. And that was, remember, like she was always hiding at the end of worlds, is where Apocalypse is. That's where she always kind of jumped around to. So like, what's the like absolute most benign, like non-chaotic thing, middle of nowhere McDonald's?
I don't know. You're behind that counter when Broxton High lets out. You're in the weeds there, friend. And
you're literally.
Yeah. So it's high stakes.
High stakes. I think we are eventually going to leave this McDonald's, but if we could have more scenes happening there, I'm totally okay with it.
I'm going to go make a scene in a McDonald's right after we finish recording this, man. I'm starving.
I know, same. I mean, just can't eat there if you're gluten intolerant. Alex, is this Star Trek or Star Wars?
This is Star Trek. And I think it's like on purpose being Star Trek. Like, I think that the design and everything is like in the same way that old Star Trek used to kind of sort of be hokey on purpose. Like, I think it's there and it's cerebral and it's that's this
is total Star Trek. This is like one of those episodes where, like, I would say, like, even like traditional, like Kirk, the ones that are like a kind of goofy one-off, like this is so Star Trek because this is way more Googa than even Star Wars could come up with. There is so much Googa going on, time, auras and threads and blob temp pads, and they literally are opening something that looks like a freaking comm. It's Star Trek. Winners and losers. Who's your big winner of episode 2 of Loki?
I think Owen Wilson. I think he's like, come on, the guy just has it. The charisma. I think I could watch that guy literally read from a phone book. He just does it.
That's a soft pitch you just made to the studios right there. Owen Wilson reads the phone book.
I'm allowed to now.
I know, but he can't be in it though, unless you animate it, and then I guess he could probably do it. There we go.
Oh, I think hey, trademark. Don't steal that.
Yep, that's we said it here, so everything we say here goes directly into the National Archives. So that's
Right.
copyrighted. That's copyrighted. Yeah, I like to say Owen Wilson too, but just for the sake of being different. Tom Hiddleston. The fact that I was thinking about it at one point when he was doing that great scene where he was the interrogation scene where he was pushing Wolf into that kind of like collapsing box, that like you knew he wasn't actually going to kill him. You know that he is definitely like, this show is pushing him as more of a hero, as a villain. But I was thinking about it and I was like, I mean, Tom Hiddleston for all intents and purposes just is Loki. Like, you know, he does other work, but you know, he's been doing, unlike other people who have grown tired of doing their roles after 15 years, he's still like cranking it out, and he's still finding ways to make the character compelling, to honor the character as is. But he just is, you know, he's just a really wonderful performer who brings so much life to a character. Like, I couldn't imagine playing this character as much as he has and still find levels to it and still find ways to grow the character. It's fascinating.
And they keep giving him different things to do as well. You talk about where this variant split off from his other self. That other self goes on to have this huge redemption arc, and as does this variant, and maybe even more so than a lot of the other characters we not redemption necessarily, but I think the most change and arcing of any character, maybe besides Thor.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like he was the villain of the Avengers movie. And now we are like rooting and having a great time with him, eating key lime pie with Owen Wilson. That is about as big as a shift as you can get.
He's a time cop now.
He's a time. When does put Jean-Claude Van Damme in the MCU, you cowards?
JCVD, baby.
Speaking of something they also don't put in the MCU, our big loser this week, as it is every week, we've already kind of teased it. You are literally in a warehouse by the docks. We are in timelines all over the place. There's zero reason why Sam Wilson's family shrimping boat can't be in this show, for F's sake.
I have to say, I disagree with you. There is a reason.
Oh,
the reason is spite for you,
at this
spite
point,
for me,
At this
spite
point,
for
it
the
feels
desires
personal.
of every fan out there that just wants another shot at the boat. And Kevin, it's clear now. Whatever the statement you were trying to make, we're well past its efficacy. Just give us the Jean-Claude Van Damme boat.
Yes, thank you very much.
It's a family show.
Jean-Claude Van Damme. Well done, Freddie Airmail. Love it. Yeah, the boat. Just give us the boat. Give us the boat. And I'll tell you what, if you even think, I know we don't have actors, but if we can get writers back, if you even think about writing that boat out of Captain America, Brave New World, shame on you. Okay? Just saying it now. Just putting that energy out there now.
Don't even give him the idea, Kenny.
No, don't do it. Alex, we have another ad read from our erotic fiction writer.
Yeah, master of erotica, Rig Doubleday. He's the modern day Lord Byron, the master of wordplay. He's releasing all of his titles again. He breathes new life into the world of romantic and erotic novels on a magic carpet of gorgeous prose with titles like Passion's Flames. We have Breathless Moments is a classics being released. The Kiss of Destiny.
Ooh.
And Hunching Up on It. And then something you're really going to want to have on the shelf is Totally Doing It in the Car.
Totally Doing It in the Car.
Yeah.
I love it. Again, I like my romantic novels to be clear and easy. This is a family show. You're right. They're clean and easy, baby. And so to me, doing it in the car, Totally Doing It in the Car, which is that a sequel to Totally Doing It, I'm assuming?
Yeah, Totally Doing It, and then there's Totally Doing It in the Car. There's a colon there. Totally Doing It in the Car.
I could imagine me on the beach getting through Totally Doing It and being like, gosh, I hope that story doesn't end. And then to know that it does continue is very refreshing.
Yeah.
Alex, you know what time it is now?
I love it. Yes, it's my favorite time.
All right, hold on. Give me a second. I didn't have it. All right, you ready? It's game time. Here comes the live game time stinger, baby. I think I started it again. Hold on. Oh, there it is. There it is. Okay.
I don't care who you are. No show out there does all this for you.
Yeah.
Hands down, bar none. You can't name another one. I won't even read it.
There's no show on Twitch that plays a live game time horn section like that. It doesn't exist. All right, it's your turn. What game we playing?
This is a game I like to call Time After Timeline, the Marvel Universe alternate timeline trivia game.
Okay.
So I'm going to read you a description of an alternate Marvel timeline, possible alternate Marvel timeline. You will tell me whether or not, yes or no, it was featured in a Marvel property, or if I made it up. Okay.
Okay.
So we're going to start with the so-called MC2 universe with gender-swapped versions of Spider-Man and Captain America from the 1990s. Is that real, or did I make it up?
I'm going to say that's real.
That is real. That's correct. The MC2 universe is very Mayday Parker comes out of that and is a long-lasting character. How about the House of M universe, where mutants are the dominant class with Magneto as king?
Yes, because that's a whole run of comics that House of M. I've read that comic. Yes,
that is in fact an alternate universe. Your third question: Earth 82416, where everyone's a Punisher.
824. I'm going to say no.
No, actually, that is from What If number 729. It's titled "What If?" Oh hell, I don't know. Everyone's a Punisher. So the next question: the Days of Future Past universe, a future where Sentinels roam the streets and X-Men such as Beast, Cyclops, Iceman, and Angel have been killed.
No.
That is actually a universe, Days of Future Past. That's one of the most famous comic book covers of all time, and an alternate timeline depicted in X4. Anyway, the next question: Earth 295, where Charles Xavier's death leads to a world ruled by Apocalypse and an X-Men led by Magneto.
Didn't you just say that? I'm going to say yes, that exists.
Yes, that's that was Days of Future Past before. This is Age of Apocalypse.
Okay. That was the Oscar Isaacs movie.
Yes, yeah, loose adaptation. Yes. So your next question: Earth 12-9B, a timeline where Spider-Man has 2 wieners.
Oh my god, the build up to that joke. Fantastic. I'm going to say yes.
Yeah, you're correct. That's from What If number 597, titled "What If Spider-Man, I don't know, had 2 wieners? Is that anything?" Your next question. The next question. Earth 616, an Earth where Wasp was a founding Avenger.
Yes, that's the actual timeline.
Yeah. That's an Earth.
Sacred timeline, if you will.
The main sacred timeline. Depends. Remains to be seen whether that's MCU and comics or just comics. So we're going to clear that up. And your last question: Earth 1209, an Earth where George Washington got bit by an electric president.
I'm going to say yes.
Yep. Is What If number 856, which was titled "What If?" Woof. Wait. What if George Washington got bit by an electric president? Boom. We're making rent this month. So that was Time After Timeline, the Marvel Universe alternate timeline quiz.
I love it. The writer's room didn't decide to edit the titles at all. They just left them in.
It was the Wild West back then.
Especially, is there something there? That killed me.
Yeah, those were all real. Look, if you look on the internet, Freddie Airmail, you Google all of those issue numbers, and you will find that I did not make
Lion,
up any
Canada
of them.
In the house. I love the BC Lions. I love
British
the
Columbia.
BC Lions. That's my favorite football team. The BC Lions already qualified for the playoffs this year in the CFL. So week 19, we're just coasting, playing today at 4:00.
My father followed the Alouettes, and I will follow the Alouettes as well. So.
Oh, those silly birds, those silly French birds, the Alouettes. Those silly birds. This is the portion of the show that we call Hoopla Recommendations.
Yeah.
Where Hoopla is a lovely app you can get on your phone. We are not sponsored by them in the slightest. We just love it because you can go there, you put in your library card, and you can check out like tons of digital comics. And for someone like myself who collected comics when they were a teenager and then up the birds and the lions. Love it, BC Lion. That's just we could just do CFL talk for the rest of the. It's fine by me. But I collected comics when I was in my teens, and then stopped for a while, and then to me, it's like, I don't want to pay the money to buy them. I can just read them for free by putting in my library card. Alex, do you got a recommendation for the folks?
I do, and I hate to bring down the proceedings, but we just lost a titan of the comics books industry, Keith Giffen, who amongst other characters created Rocket Raccoon and the Blue Beetle that just debuted in theaters. Jaime Reyes is co-created by Keith Giffen. I would go back and pick up any of his Justice League or any title he wrote that included the Justice League. I just reread them. I'm sure because they're from the 80s, there's some thematic problems, but
Just
some of the humor is piping hot. It feels contemporary, and you're like, this was the mainline Justice League title of its day. The art is great. It's you're a real talent, very much worth his Legion of Superheroes work is great. You go back and find Keith Giffen's work on Hoopla or wherever you find major comics.
I love that. Wherever you find your major comics. I'm going to recommend, anytime I see anything Brian Michael Bendis on Hoopla, I tend to pick up or read. He's a wonderful comic writer, wonderful writer. I'm currently reading his run of the New Avengers Illuminati from 2019. Ooh. The Illuminati did show up in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. In this comic is the more traditional lineup, which only some of whom were in the movie. The traditional lineup of the Illuminati is Professor X, the Submariner, Reed Richards, Doctor Strange, Black Bolt, and Iron Man. Basically, the idea is what it is. The Illuminati, they're basically all the people who are, in charge of everything. Kind of controlling everything, the Black Bolt is basically in lieu of putting somebody. Well, Professor X is the X-Men. Black Bolt is the Inhumans.
Yeah,
Iron Man.
Your major factions are all represented by
Iron Man is
person.
the Avengers. Doctor Strange is like all the mystical people, and they basically just like rule the world. So it's but it's Brian Michael Bendis who's fantastic. So that's my recommendation. Speaking of books to recommend, we have another ad read from what's his name?
Rig Doubleday. His collection of fiction, the master of double entendre, the king of flowery wordplay, and reprints of his titles, classics such as Jubbin' Her Right in the Old Hams, Beef Blasters 4, All Wet, and Beef Blasters 5, Totally Doing It. This is the collected reprints of Rig Doubleday, the master of erotica.
Is Totally Doing It is Beef Blasters 5 totally doing it? Does that fall in the TDIU? The Totally universe?
They're crossed over. It's like when they made Batman and Wolverine in the 90s. It's like that. It was a big deal when they crossed over.
Oh my God, that just broke me. Beef Blasters. Holy cow. Oh my God. All right. A couple more things before we get out of here. This is the portion of the show where we asked, what did our dogs think? Alex, what did your dog think of Loki season 2, episode 2?
Well, Millie couldn't remember the actor's name, but he played X5, and she turned to me and during the interrogation scene, and she said, both of them, she said, I love how he keeps switching tactics. And then she went, that's an actor thing. You wouldn't get it. So I was like, okay.
So much attitude from Millie.
Always.
Mabel, again, didn't even get up. Did you say holy cow as a deliberate response to that? I didn't, but I'll say that I did, Freddie Airmail. Holy cow as a response to Beef Blasters? No, I didn't. That's fantastic. My dog Mabel, I watched this show at like almost 11 o'clock at night, which is very late for me. And she didn't, at that point, she is like all like dead to the world asleep. So she just was in the bedroom, totally out, did not even bother to move. So, maybe we'll see. I'll watch it next week at maybe a more reasonable hour. Probably not based on my Thursday schedule. So I don't know. I don't think it's going to happen.
I think it's going to be bad once she starts paying attention, because she's going to come in like Ahsoka season 2, episode 3 and be like, wait, who's that? And you're going to have to like back up and explain everything.
I have to keep pausing it. Like, no, if I have to keep stopping, we're never going to finish this.
Did you watch the holiday special? Like I said, one of those.
Did you watch the holiday special? Did you watch Did you watch the Loki holiday special? Alex, besides like directly above you, where can the folks find you?
Find me on Threads and Instagram at Duke_midnight, spelled how it is above. And if you're listening only, that's Duke spelled the normal way, _ and then MIDNITE, Duke Midnight. MIDNITE,
Duke Midnight. You're welcome. You can copyright that and use it.
Ooh.
You can find me at as above at Kenny G Stevenson on TikTok and Twitch. On Threads and Instagram, I am Kenny G Donut King. I'm in the process of fixing that and making it all one world, baby. I am on X technically, but I don't post a lot there anymore. But I am there, and we'll be here every week, Fridays at noon. Friday, 3 noon PST, 3 EST. Don't forget to download the new fan-controlled sports entertainment app, the new Control app. If you have the old one, just open it. It'll tell you to update it. There are all new things to vote on. There is a big announcement. It's a big one.
And again, the announcement is that I am going to be starting quarterback for the Beasts. Yeah, I'm going to be the Beast. Marshawn called me this morning, and he said, he said, Doc, you got the call. You're coming up to the big show, and so I'm gonna learn how to throw a football, and we're gonna have a good time.
Thanks, BC Lions. You have a super weekend. Have fun enjoying our Lions playing tonight at 4:00. Noon Eastern, 9 PST. Big announcement happening here on this channel. Thanks for watching, everybody. I just remembered I have to play something here, so stand by.
Good night, everybody.
Wait for it. I got to play something. And here it is. Here it is right here. There we go. Bye.
Bye.
It'll start playing at some point.